Hello, Senacine here, and I'm going to be talking recent tech news. Something to mainly compete with Broken Silicon, but more briefly, and it won't have any ads in it, like, no ads before the videos, no sponsors, so let's dive right into it. AMD's future Zen 4 offerings for the consumers. The 7800X is a 10-core processor, runs around the same speed as the 7700X. The 7700 Non-X is a little slower but draws less power. Then the 7700X has 8 cores. We don't know about the 7600 or 7500, or about the Dragon Range desktop APUs, if there are even going to be any. So that's where the 7500 would come in. But there's the 7300X, a 65-watt Ryzen 3 CPU that will perform. I'll still I don't know its performance, but probably pretty great since it's a Zen 4 CPU. And it's going to be quad-core and still have high base clocks. So try beating that Intel. I know their quad cores are clocked very high on like their higher number of cores. Then there's Genoa, Bergamo, and Sienna, and Genoa X, the server and workstation CPUs, which are just going to be excellent CPUs. It's going to be amazing. The only problem is fitting them into a socket that's small enough, and that's where Sienna comes into play. You have 64 cores, just like the 7000 series Threadripper will probably use the same socket. Wow, I just came to that conclusion right now, because it said only 64 cores for the next Threadripper, which is probably going to be a Threadripper Pro. The first year it's out, it's probably going to be OEM only. Why do you like discriminating against the consumers, AMD? Why? Then a year later it'll be available to the consumer market. We have Genoa X, and that's going to have a 16-core, a 32-core, and a 96-core variant. Those three only. And then the chips that are higher than 96 cores are going to be part of the Bergamo CPU family. Next up is I don't have the complete details on this, but the RTX 4070 is probably the 12GB 192-bit GPU with however, it might be 160-bit 10GB. And why don't we have 320-bit at that tier anymore like we had with Fermi? That would have been a better idea. And then there's RDNA 3, which is going to tackle Lovelace by adding more bandwidth and memory. 384-bit 24GB versus 16 256. This is going to be a great improvement because the past 4 generations it's only been up to 256-bit, but we don't see the 512-bit model. I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why. These new GPUs are going to be great. And then what's the future for Intel Arc? I think some of them are to launch sooner, have already launched. because I saw news on it. Don't think it's available to the consumer market yet. That's what I think. It's only the OEM right now. Then there's the disappointing part. Intel Raptor Lake. How slow those processors are. Like you'll see that, for example, the 24-core i9 13900T. It runs at only like a gigahertz. The small cores would make it not even be able to run Windows. That's the problem with it. You need to have the TCPs have enough room to run at higher clock speeds, like up from 2 gigahertz on both the big and small cores. And there's definitely room with it. I've done the math. I mean, why is Intel just like making low clock speeds? Anyway, there's the 13900, 13900T, 13700, 13700T, 13600, 13600T, 13500, 13500T, 13400, 13400T, 13100, and 13100T. Those are the chips, and some of them are going to have the F variant. Those being the ones with the 1, 4, 7, and 9. And lastly for today, we're going to talk about the brand new Bulldozer CPUs. They're going to come out on Progressive Computing. They're going to be progressive computing chips using Bulldozer silicon and used in Quadrillion computers and progressive computing computers. Yes, I'm not going to be using Parallel or Cherry Computer because I don't want to risk so many of my businesses being knockoffs. We already got the Vogue, the spoof of NBC's The Voice, so we need that, but we don't need too many of them. Anyway, we got samples of FX 4100, 8100, 6100, and 8100. Now they're modified to run at more efficiency, better clocks, as the Bulldozer CPUs are already pretty efficient. But then there's also the Jaguar microarchitecture, using socket AM1 for netbooks. Then there's the APUs, running on both Lanyo and Piledriver, Trinity. That's what I mean by Piledriver. And those would count as the U-series chips. The U-series chips. Whereas the FX chips represent the P, H, and M. P, M, and H series chips, and the desktop ones. The U and Y are the Trinities. And also the Kaziro, or Richland. Or Richland, I'm not sure if that was the AM1 socket, but the AM1 socket is going to be used for netbooks. And then there's also going to be thin clients using the ARM Cortex A7 on the Raspberry Pi 2. And more info coming on the GPUs and the revamps of GPUs, old ones.